favorite people in all of Canada, Mrs. Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta. And as you might know, some of you who have viewed my previous video on Mrs. Smith, I'm not really fond of her Alberta first approach, and I think it is fundamentally anti Canadian about how she's been going down to what you call it, the Mar-a-Lago, and visiting Trump on her own, and then that's okay, but then coming out 2-3 days afterwards saying that we shouldn't impose tariffs on the United States if they impose tariffs on us. Now that's something crazy. That's anti-Canadian and that's treasonous in my opinion. You got to be a really big idiot to say something like that and completely out of touch in thinking of what the Canadian population needs as a whole when you come out and speak and say that we shouldn't fight back Trump as Canadians. Who are you to speak for Canadians in the first place like that and come out and say something so stupid? Like, it's absolutely just, I can't comprehend it. It's crazy. And she thinks she's done something really great here. She thinks she's some big dog that went down to the United States and really got into it with Trump. And she really made some big advocacy, diplomacy for the Canadian population and Alberta. When in reality, she's a big fucking idiot. She didn't do shit down there. What in reality happened is that she went down there, she met Trump, and she kicked sand after that in Mexico. When she went on her little vacation, instead of meeting with the premiers who were having joint meetings here in Canada, she was down there in the freaking who knows where in Mexico kicking sand and enjoying the beach, thinking she's done some real big good job like a big girl and saved Canada and Alberta somehow. Absolutely incompetent and totally disgraceful, because what happened after that was that Trump was going to go ahead with his tariffs like he had planned to before. He was going to go ahead with them, and he was going to, do his little tactic where he was going to kind of like, push them forward and say like, hey, we're going to put these tariffs on you. Give me the concessions I want. That was the plan from the start, and that's what he did. And Mrs. Smith has literally zero pull in the American political sphere. She's a joke. She's a joke to Canadians. She's a joke to Americans, and she makes us look weak. And for those of you who think, hey, I'm giving her a little bit of a hard time, that's not only me saying that. We have some other people who I'll show you here. We've got Mr. Harper right here saying the exact same thing, that we shouldn't be going towards the US and bending on a knee for the United States. We've got a great relationship with them, but we shouldn't be bending on a knee for them. We should be worrying about Canadians first and worrying about how are we going to become self-sufficient as a country. And he makes point here that beyond any necessary retaliatory tariffs, Canada must resist its own version of Trump protectionism. The article here even former Prime Minister Stephen Harper says that it is true that retaliation is a poor choice, but in the event of a trade war, we are only left with bad choices. Thus, our measures need to be carefully calibrated with clear objectives in mind, but the worst possible response, read this here, but the worst possible response is no response at all, as that would lead to one-way economic flows from Canada to the United States. And that is what Mrs. Smith of Alberta is suggesting, because clearly the only thing she cares about is protecting Alberta oil. Other than that, she doesn't care about the rest of the economy in Alberta. She doesn't care about the Albertan people or the measures consequences they'll face from the, inaction in a trade war, or even when we do take action, we are still going to face many hardships, but she doesn't care about that. All she cares about is preserving the Alberta oil economy and making sure that those guys up there in the oil sands, specifically, the big corporate holders there, are safe. That's all she cares about. And she thinks she's really made a, big effort here, big um, diplomacy push. And it has absolutely resulted in nothing. And what you have to understand here is there's no recourse with a person like Donald Trump. Trump will do what Trump is going to do. That's what's going to happen with a person like that. And when he has made consistent threats against the sovereignty of our nation and the well-being of our people and so many other, transgressions against us, it seems very, very, very unwise for you to go out on your own limb here and not try to become a united front against such a threat. It looks almost anti-Canadian, and as I said, I'll call it what I call it, treasonous, because it looks like you're more of an American pawn than actually a Canadian. And some will say, no, she can only fend for Alberta. Well, fending for Alberta is fending for Canada, okay? To defend Alberta, you need to have Canada. There's no Western only approach. There's no Alberta only approach. There is a Canada one approach, okay? So now she's just pulling the same bullshit again. She pulls out of the governor's meeting, and because, the White House visit that the premiers made last week, I believe, wasn't so successful, and they only met some mid-level people in the White House. Still, you have to push. If you're going to go ahead on the diplomacy front, you're going to have to push united. And it looks weak when one of the people in the group are not moving with the rest. And it really puts a damper on morale, and it makes you look selfish. And let's go on the article here for a second. That she made the excuse that she was going to go ahead and focus on the Alberta budget. Well, okay, you're focusing on the Alberta budget, sure. But in reality, I don't think you're focusing on much of anything, because when the premiers were meeting the first time, almost a month ago now, you were in the Mexico having a vacation there, like it was all well and dandy. So I just can't with this person. She's so irresponsible, and I don't even know how the Albertan people can stand behind such a leader like this. She's a really, really, really incompetent person. Um, she should really get her, eggs in a row here. And I'm just speechless that, wow, how anti-Canadian can you be? But thank you guys for watching. Please let me know what you think down below. I know some of you won't like this, but I really don't care, because this is the truth. She's a fucking idiot. And thanks again for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.